Okay, hello, Miss Annie, and also my friends. So today, we are going to present our statement and also give any explanation regarding our statement that we chose. So they are the group members. The first one, Adam Cristianto, and then Benedictus Syadetama, and me, Francisca Retnaulasari. Okay, let's move on to the first statement, which is going to be presented by Adam. Adam, time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Chika.
Yep.
Okay, so the first statement we have here, language are learned mainly through imitation, and we agree on that. Now, before we jump into this topic, we have to acknowledge there are certain categories about language. The first language or the mother language is the one that is inherent since the beginning uh, to that person, while second or third language or additional language, on the other hand, is something foreign or new to the speaker. Now, since we know that, we can continue to the next slide. Now, learning first language is highly imitative because the process of acquiring language is a complex process of listening basic sound, understanding morpheme, awareness of the structure, and finally the ability to produce sounds, intonation, and the words. Next slide, please. Learning second or additional language, on the other hand, work in a slightly different manner. Since learner already understand the framework or about how the language work, the process of learning language for additional language is variative and different for every person. Because if we understand that learning second language, as I said before, is different, yeah, for each person, because perhaps different person have different needs and different purpose on learning on an additional language. So in this way, imitation is not always the main way to do so. Although it is based on the first language as a setting point, it is still imitative in this manner. Next slide. Now we have here three different expert ideas on language and imitation. The first one we have here on the left, Noam Chomsky, a very famous linguist, have an innatist theory where, if you put it into a perspective here, states on how imitation is something fundamental. So something that is very basic, that everyone, even from the early stage of life, have in order to acquire a language. Now, the second one we have here is George Bernard Shaw. He stated that imitation is not just the sincerest form of flattery, it is the sincerest form of learning. Now, what we know here, imitation is a powerful tool because humans already have it. That if we put into a deeper practice and deeper implementation, can have a better impact to learn a language. Now, the last example here we have Andrew and Maltzov. Yeah, he said imitation accelerates learning and multiples learning opportunities. He noted it is faster than individual discovery and safer than learning by trials and error. Now, what we understand is this way we see how their ideas are related and comments on how imitation is useful for acquiring a language. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay, now we have here language learning in Indonesia. Now, during my first experience in creative reading event where I was in reading team, I noticed how language teaching through explicit methods such as imitation was very successful and effective. Yeah, effective in a sense of that it is very time efficient, convenient, also, and easy preparation and spot on in impactful on meaning recall and understanding. This is somewhat debatable, but perhaps this is why the teacher rely on imitation on any aspect of learning, such as spelling, vocabulary, dialects, and even writing practice. The second one we have here, people imitate something as a way to become a part of something. Because we see here, people who move to another part of Indonesia, like for example, usually will have a proper understanding on how language and dialects work in that certain area. Now, essentially, we understand how language learning, especially foreign one, uh, take for example as an English in English, need a deeper understanding. And with this method, imitation and inclusive methods, both teacher and learners can understand the language better. Now, we have some problem here because in Indonesia, at this moment, with what happened with COVID-19 pandemic, the ability to learn language through imitation is limited because of many aspects, really, because probably uneven in infrastructure, schools are closed, and problems with the internet connections, and etc. And this is what we are looking for to answer, because it is needed that we need new effort or new ways to learn a language. Then, to conclude, we agree that languages are learned through imitation, ranging from vocabulary, intonation, spelling, writing structure, and many aspects of language because of the effectiveness. And although we need to be open to many types of learning to better acquire a language. Thank you. And the next statement will be presented by my friend Chika.
Okay, thank you, Adam. Okay, so the statement that I chose is the best way to learn new vocabulary is through reading. I think we agree with this. It's experience on me too, and also compared to my friend who really likes to read. And before that, I will give a statement that is, what is that? Strong my my statement. The good readers acquire most new vocabulary items through reading. Meanwhile, poor readers read less and are exposed to fewer new words. It is cited in Outlaw 2006, but it is based according to Allington 1984. So actually, it happened to me and also my friend. For instance, my friend is A. Basically, I don't like to read, and my friend really likes to read. I think A always read the whole time. And then when I compare myself to this person or to my friend, uh, friend of mine really what is that? Really better than me. Even I couldn't compare to him because he just very what is that, out of expert, I know, I mean like very good in English. And then according to Swanborn and the Gloper 1999, as cited in Adloff 2006, that on average, this is an average, 15% of unfamiliar words encountered in text will be learned incidentally. So while we're reading, actually our brain also memorizing or capturing everything that we read, and then that is why we will know some new vocabularies, and then probably we will not remember or memorize the whole words. However, we will know. I mean, we will know. So yeah, just about 15% of unfamiliar words, and then we will learn about that. Okay, according to Altal Hub 2016 too, the more learners learn new vocabulary, the more likely they are to be able to use the new language effectively. So yeah, I think this is great. Also, we have to learn more about vocabulary to mastering our second language. And also extensive reading. This is actually the type of reading. Extensive reading also can improve students' vocabulary. According to Arafa 2018, from the results shows that extensive reading can improve students' vocabulary mastery. You know what is extensive reading? Extensive reading basically is you can novel or reading news. It is done or we do it outside the class. It is extensive reading. And then, according to Day and Bamford, and also as it cited in Arafa 2016, there are 5 benefits, but let's be focused on the bold ones. Increase students' vocabulary mastery and facilitate acquisition. So basically, extensive reading also can improve students' vocabulary mastery and also facilitate acquisition while they are learning new language. Okay, let's move on to the statement 3, which is going to be presented by Shade.
Okay, thank you, Chika. This is the last statement. Classroom are good places to learn about language, but not for learning how to use language. We are agree with this statement because we also see there is problem during teaching and learning activities in language classroom. Next. So why this is happen? In class, the activity that most often occurs in is the teacher talking to explain the material in front of the class, and meanwhile the students sit in front of the teacher to listen and take note what the teacher explained. In this case, teaching and learning activities have occurred. However, this is has not been fully effective because we encounter many classes where the teacher dominates the conversation in the class. It can take form of explaining material or leading a class discussion. This make students rarely have not enough time to speak or use their language in class. Next. So there are two supporting sentences for support the classroom is good for language learning. First is from Cortazio and Lixian, 1969. Language classroom is set within taken for granted frameworks of expectation, attitudes, value, and beliefs about what constitutes good learning, but how to teach or learn, whether and how to ask questions, what textbooks are, or and how language teaching relates broader issues of the nature and purpose of education. The second statement is from Reinforce 1983. The two most fundamental interests of the classroom teacher providing a rich learning environment for children and supporting them in their effective use of it. Next. This is the strategies for improving students' language proficiency. Begin each day with interpersonal speaking activities such as presentation, collective interviews, and small oral tests. And then the second, require student to use target language in class, make student language target what will be achieved during the learning. And then the third, eliminate activities in which you ask students questions instead promote pair work larger, and then larger groups mean that individual students speak and negotiate meaningless. And then the last is using immersion. Immersion means going to live in a place where the language is spoken, or at least we can go traveling there, but we can improvise this method by teacher can also invite native speaker to come to the class, and then invite student to going outside the class where there are so many tourists here, and then our teacher can ask student to reduce the use of local language. Next. Okay, this is the end of our presentation. That's all from us. Thank you.